Glen Buhler. I'm the CEO of Oxygen Technologies, Think Communications, and a couple other MSPs. I think we're like most MSPs where, our technical folks will sit through a product demo, they'll go to a conference, and they'll come back with the latest and greatest. We've got to switch to X, or Y does different features that that our current vendor has, and so over the last 20 years in business, we've kind of meandered through the disaster recovery and backup landscape, um, having a wide variety of platforms for some of our customers based on their needs. And every time we've switched platforms, it's been immensely painful. But I'm sure we'll unpack that in a little bit. But in the last, I would say, what, about 2-3 months, we uncovered Cove, and we went through the normal evaluation process from a technical perspective, and our technical folks were enamored with the product, absolutely enamored with it. And I have a rule now to prevent the long, painful transitions of technologies in our stack, where we have to do a full-on business case. And when they came back to me, the evaluation team internally, and said, "Okay, this is what the transition will look like," I said, "No, no, no. This is too good to be true. It's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be that inexpensive. It's not going to be that feature rich. This whole package, it's not gonna fulfill everything that you're promising me here." But I got to tell you, we rolled it out to hundreds and hundreds of servers, and brought on thousands of endpoints in a couple of weeks. And in fact, the whole business case that our team built, they exceeded my expectations, which has never happened before, by the way.
Oh, that's amazing.
I maybe sound like a bit of an infomercial, but I cannot believe that there was finally a technology that we implemented that delivered on all of its promises, and the transition was painless. Like, that is, in 20 years in the business, I've never seen that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's I'm really happy to hear that. And maybe just looking back in time, where were you? Like, what was the starting point? Like, what kind of solutions were you using previous? Um,
Do you want me to use names, or?
I'm fine with names.
Okay, okay. So we had Veeam as kind of our primary partner, with quite a bit of Datto in there as well, depending on the business case and the use case. Even a little bit of ArcServe sprinkled in for good measure, just because we wanted to have as fragmented of a platform as we possibly could.
Of course.
And not only did we have all the multiple panes of glass, and of course, we connected all the monitoring through our RMM, and we were able to manage it in a relatively cohesive manner. But it's you're trying to create a business process to put lipstick on a pig, when it's like, okay, one of our operational KPIs is how many backup failures did we have this week, and has that number gone down across all of our platforms? So it was it was just a very challenging environment for our team to manage. Whereas now that we've standardized on one platform, and the platform's easy, I just don't hear about backups anymore. And that's what I want. That's what our customers want. It's just been a really neat experience.
Awesome. And so let's. I'd love to hear more again about the business impact then, like in terms
Hmm.
of like the dollars, or where you saw the margins, whether it's labor or
Hmm.
other costs. Like, how did the business case get presented?
Well, it was quite something. I mean, the direct costs. One of the things that I loved about the Cove product is that the amount of storage you get built in with the licensing, that was significant. And our previous infrastructure with Veeam, for example, is we actually have our own data center, and so we have a couple racks worth of just disk for storing all this data.
Right, and
And
power and
oh, and power and
patching and
everything. And guess what? My CapEx cycle is up next year.
right.
So then I have to buy all this disk again, and I'm thinking, I got to invest all this money in storing data that that doesn't really change. Like, it didn't really make sense. So that was one of the impetuses of trying to find a different solution, as well as I didn't want to reinvest in my own data center business. And so to see that there's that much storage space included with Cove in the licensing cost, not only were my direct margins better from the licensing perspective, but being able to get rid of all those fixed costs in my business, that was huge. And then the indirect costs, all the labor component, it has made a markedly uh, decreased. Uh, we're not spending near as much time administering these platforms, 3 different platforms, as we are now. And I will also say that the backup test restore process, which we were very diligent about with all of our customers before, that was quite a time suck for us. And now I'm not the tech guy, but my understanding is that it is so much more robust and automatic of a test restore process with Cove that that's a huge time savings. And that was one of the big things, by the way, that our technical team came up in the evaluation was just like, hey, we don't have to have somebody spending a day every week doing test restores across our hundreds of MSP customers
Right.
throughout Canada.
I mean, 4 days a month, then that starts to stack up in terms of you could use that time elsewhere these days.
Oh, absolutely. And just in licensing costs, I'm not sure if I should say this, but I'm going to save about $20,500 a month.
20,500, so close
Quarter
to,
million bucks a year.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, if I sound like an infomercial, I mean, I'm just very
Wow.
happy so
I
far.
guess so. 20
Mhm.
as Cove, it's really what we're hoping to achieve in the world. The difference we're trying to make is using this cloud first architecture, which kind of fundamentally breaks that local first aspect of those other previous products you're using to deliver a different set of economics. So very exciting to be affirmed that we're on the right path, and
Absolutely.
man, that's a meaningful difference. All right, well, that's all I got, Glenn. I really appreciate the time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.